We are looking at RealTick, and what we're going to do is we got a blank workspace here, okay? So all you have to do to get a blank workspace is say page new, and this is assuming that you want to set up everything for yourself. So the first thing that I usually do is I go up here and I click on this thing and I go to the RealTick configurator and I turn off the themes. If I do that on this computer, it's going to turn these icons into some sort of bizarre array of things that we can't see anymore. So I'm not going to do it. I talked to RealTick about that. That is a bug that they were unaware of, and they are working on it. So I went into the RealTick folks, and we sat down for a few hours and had sort of my wish list and looks at things that aren't working right, and we definitely isolated that as one of them. But now let's say you have a workspace up and you have that configurator set so that the themes are off. So you just want to turn off, it's going to default to something called black and orange for the skins, and those skins are going to make you nuts. So just go in there and under the configurator, boom, turn off the theme, and then it's just going to go with a green and red standard theme for positive or negative. And then what you want to do is you can either use these icons to create the different things in RealTick, and the icons are going to change depending on what it is that you're pulling up. But let's just start by saying design chart. Now you can see their default chart has this shading, and if we went up and changed that configuration thing, that would change. We could change it there, but let's just change it live in a chart. So I'm going to say I want my default chart to be an intraday 5-minute chart, and we can just add whatever symbol to it, and I'm going to have it show me volume. You can also have it show you volume by price. We talked about that at the boot camp. That gives you a nice histogram of price activity. You can have it show you candlesticks, but when I'm trading on my laptop, I like to keep it pretty simple, so we just click OK, and it gives you this ugly orange and black themed thing here, right? So this is what you'll be turning off in your configuration file. But click on Display and Analysis, and you can change by clicking on the Attributes tab what it is that you're going to see on screen. So the first thing I usually do, I find the gradient background to be very disruptive. I can't really see what's going on. I don't know who that's for. And I change the background, in my case, to white. You can do green and black, like TradeStation if you want, but I like to have a white background. I like my labels to be black. And I show the last price in the axis, I show the legend, and I usually set my pen width to 2. That's the width of each individual bar. And then grid lines, I don't have it showing them, but I turn those off anyways. Just change them to white. You can change your font here, right? I'm 49, I need a bigger font than I used to need. And so I'll do an auto style chart. Usually you can do percent change, you can do standard, I mean you can do any of these charts depending on what type of a thing you're plotting, if it's an equity or if it's an option or a future or whatever, right? Those are going to change, and that gives me then sort of my real basic chart that I'm going to look at. There's a couple other things that I want to change usually when I'm doing a chart. One is I am going to say I want to see my pivot lines. Sometimes I will do show orders, all right, so that I can see my orders on the screen. In this case, they didn't show up here, but because I don't have any live orders. That's your live orders, and then executions will show you all the order executions that you had, right? All the places you got in, all the places you got out of the trade. So that's nice sometimes to have on there. Sometimes the executions are a little bit distracting. Then, so now you've got your pivot lines drawn, and those pivot lines are always going to be those correctly calculated floor trader pivots. Other thing that I usually do under attributes is I say color code the volume bars. So by color coding the volume bars, you can see sort of which bars go out. I mean, that's not 100% accurate. It's not 100% accurate in any charting program that I know of, but it's going to give you a better grip on whether there's a lot of sell side volume or buy side volume going on in a bar. And then if you want to change the time frame, you would just say, in this case, you can hit a period, and a D would be daily. Period W is weekly. Period M is going to be monthly. Period I 5, intraday 5, and you can go all the way, down to intraday 1. You can go all the way up to intraday, however many hours you want to plot. You just do it all in minutes. If you want to plot a tick chart, you have to right-click and say Setup, and change your intraday to tick, and you can see all the other things that you can change them to there. You just show the asks, the bids, the trades, plot the time and sales, whatever it is that you want to plot, you can plot on here. But if you want to do a tick bar and 25 ticks, right, that's what that's gonna look like for you. So one way or another, you can scroll either axis to see more time or to see more price, right? On a tick chart, your pivot lines are going to go away. Bring up the intraday chart, they come right back again. So that is a basic chart, and it's usually the way that I'm using a chart when I'm using RealTick. So let me just put up a symbol here. Let's go back to Grub, right? You can see those defaults are carrying through to any chart that I bring up then. So now if you've got everything that you want in there, and I would say again, you want to make sure you say show orders, because what show orders is going to do is it's going to put those lines on the chart for you when you put your orders in, and that's really great because then you can just drag the lines around. So make sure these things are checked like this. This is what I use, and I think it's what's going to be best for you guys to use. So show pivot lines, show orders. If you want to show executions, that's up to you. If it messes you up, don't do it, depending on your screen space. So once you have then the chart the way that you like it and the size that you like it, right? So let's pretend I want all my charts to be about this size, right? So I can sort of eyeball and say I'm going to be able to put a couple charts up and down, and maybe 4 charts sideways on this screen the way that it's set up. Then you click on it and you say favorites, add to favorites, and then let's just call this chart, let's call it boot camp chart. Save position and use it as the default. And now if you go up here and click on chart, right, you're going to get this thing. You're going to get this background again because we didn't turn this off in the configurator. But if you go under favorites and you do chart, whoops, oh, we've got rumors on HIG. If you go under favorites and then go to chart, then go to boot camp chart, right, it'll bring this chart up each and every time for you. So all you have to do is go under here. I'll show you how to do that configurator thing in a second so that the charts are the right color, but it's going to drive you nuts with this shading thing going on. Then the next thing you want to do is set up probably a market maker window. So this is the market maker montage, right, that'll bring up for you. And there's a couple things here. First off, again, it's this horrible orange and black montage. Second off, it's going to default to whatever the default share size is for the exchange that you're on or the machine that you're trading from. So I leave them, I'll leave these low and have it set up so that the spin increment is 100 shares, so that I can just, if I pull up a new montage on something, I can just roll it right up to 1,000. I also use order entry macros quite a bit to set up these trades. So to format this thing, what you need to do is the same type of a thing. You just right click, display options, and eliminate that gradient thing, right? And now you can identify your own gradients. You can put in your own colors. You can put in your own sizes, right? So we say we want 10-point type, and then click on this tier, and we're going to say tier 1. We're going to want to have yellow. The font we're going to change to black. Tier 2, you know, I usually do green. Tier 3, I mean, you can do these any color you want to do them. You can do red. Right, and the purpose of the colors is just to show you what the market depth is at each price. And this is one of the few pieces of software that, you know, you configure the whole thing yourself. And this will also carry over then into your open book settings when you do them. So you just select, you know, whatever it is that you find not too distracting here. And then let's just go one more here. Okay, so now we've got these tiers are outlined now. We've got them color coded, right? We can set exclude colors. We can set market center color. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do to change these up a little bit, but this is sort of the basic way that I do these. And then you can also save this as a theme if you want. I've already got themes saved, so I'm not going to save another one on this. Click OK. That gives you the market depth more sort of the way that you're used to seeing it. And then up here, you can also change this. So if you want to change this layout up here, you're going to right click and you're going to say Setup. And then you can use a different layout than the one that's embedded. Let's say you want to use Market Maker 5 and 6 are usually pretty good. Right, this gives you a lot more detail about what you're doing. If you want your background different color, again, you know, just right click, display settings, background, you can make it white if you want, black text. You can use a bigger font, and you apply that. So now you've got a custom form up here set up. You can make this larger, smaller, right? It's going to give you all your, in this case, it's going to give you all your codes for, you know, whether or not you got filled, whether your order's live, right? All that stuff's going to pop up in this box the minute that you place an order. Then if you want to change this form down here, right, your order entry form, if you click on this arrow here and go to System Order Forms, you'll see they've got a ton of, you know, I don't know which ones you guys are going to have available. You're for sure going to have all these defaults, standards, and minis. I don't know if you're going to have the institutionals. You probably will, though. You can do full. You know, this gives you access to all sorts of information, right? All sorts of order types that you can do. You know, I kind of like standard 2, and then I also set up quite frequently for bracket orders, right? So bracket orders you can just do through here, or you can do a keystroke that sets up bracket orders, or you can do an order form that has brackets, conditionals, everything on it, just the way that that we use them. So this is a really nice order form right here. This is just bracket form. So if I want to do a bracket order on the stock that I'm looking at, right, I can just check bracket. If I'm going to do a conditional, I can check conditional. And again, you know, so let's take a look at Grubhub. So this is a short on the trading plan. Now see, now I screwed up my axis, right? I wound up dragging something over to the right side. If well, now here's the problem. It's going to put that. It's going to give us that gradient background again. But let's just leave that up for a second. But see, you can always change back to what you had. And in this case, the problem is I didn't. I'm going to show you the configuration thing in a second here. But now let's say that we wanted to place an order using this order form, right? We could say, well, we want to short Grubhub if it comes down through 3184. I mean, it looks pretty strong today. Or let's say we want to pick it up on the long side. 3177 is a little high, but let's say if it comes back, let's do a Fibonacci study. So you click on this tool here, this drawing tool. That's what I did with Twitter earlier. Right, you select your fibs. Let's just change this thing, hold on. So let's say you do a Fibonacci study. Now you did, Fibonacci is what you selected, and then you click on configure, and you're going to configure these one time, right, and then it's going to keep it for you. As I said, I use 1.0, 1.382, 1.5. I use 618.5, 0.382, minus 0.382, and minus 50. And I just have it configured to go blue and to show me the labels when I draw these things. So you can select any color you want for your fib studies. Let's say you do brown, right? Come in here and say, all right, well, find peak to trough. There's my fib study. So now it's telling me my retracement that I'm interested in was brown, right? 3167. You can configure them all to be brown, or you can configure just the one to be brown, right? It doesn't matter which one. 618 was what I was looking for. Sorry about that. I didn't tell you guys why I was doing that. You can have them all be blue the next time around. But now look, if it comes back down to 3167, I might want to be long, right? So I can set up two things. I can say I want to do a conditional order. And for my conditional order, I can come in and say, all right, if it gets down to 3167, I'm going to want to buy this. So, but let's do it a little bit differently. Let's say if the last price gets down below 3162, right? And then it comes up to 3167, then I want to go long, and the highest I want to get filled is $31.69. And now I can place that order. So that order is not on the montage, right? You don't see it anywhere here. And that's because I did a conditional order. The conditional order rests on my machine. If I put an order in to buy 500 shares at 31.69, it's going to show up right away on the montage, right? That's not a conditional order. And then if I want to go on my chart and change that order, I can just drag it down, and there's my change order, right? So now I'm at 31.46 on that, or I can cancel it right from the chart. Now my conditional order is still live. So the conditional order that I put in said if it comes down below 67 and goes back up through it again, I want to get long. Then I can do another conditional order, and I can say if that order triggered, right, if that order happened, then use the amount of shares that I actually got into. If it doesn't trigger, kill this order. And go ahead and get me out at 31.84 limit. Right? So it's pretty straightforward. If the first order fills, I can have a stop limit order, I can have a limit order. Right? Let's say I want to go 89 and I'm going to allow a slip back to there. Place the order. Now I've got two conditional orders out there. I can put a third conditional order in for stop loss, or I can just manage the stop loss manually. If I decide I don't want it, and then you hit uncheck that conditional order, because, you know, let's say you get in and now all of a sudden you decide you want to get back out again, so you hit sell, it's going to bring this thing up and make you crazy. So always make sure you uncheck these boxes. And then if you want to kill all those orders, so you can always see your orders by going favorites, market minders, live orders, right? And this is also going to be formatted in this way that we don't want, but I suppose you can see these anyways. Here's your live orders. Those are the conditional orders that are resting on your machine. If you want to get rid of them, hit cancel, they're gone, right? Deletes all those orders you just put in. So that is, you know what, we'll just say that's enough of a primer on how to set up the two most important windows, right? Your order entry window and your chart window. The other thing that you can do is if you right click up in here and click on links, and then you want to link this to your chart. We have another chart of Grubhub open somewhere, I think. Then click OK. Then it's going to change from one chart to the next. If you bring it back to the original chart, all your lines and stuff are still there. So that is a basic on how to set up your charts, how to set up your level 2 screen. So we can do a bunch of other things once you guys are set up and running. But let me show you this configurator thing. It's going to bomb out that taskbar, but when you click on that, click on the configurator, and then application scans, right? You see it's classic, backup and sync. You know, it's a good idea, you guys, turn on automatic backup. But here, this is the bad guy. So colors and fonts, if you say turn on theme, the default theme it's going to have is black and orange. Or you can set up your own theme, right, with whatever colors you're going to want to use. Or you can just say turn the themes off altogether, which is my preference. If you're using a white background, you kind of want to change this thing to a darker green so that you can see it. And then the killer is, so you can turn window captions on and off, right? You can get rid of this. You can have a full Windows bar like you do on other programs. I hate that, right? So what I do is I just say only show it on the mouse hover, so then it has no window captions going on. The toolbars, this is what you're going to see is going to mess up here when we hit OK. So hit OK, and you see what happened. We had this thing sort of black out on us. I don't know why. This was a set of tools that they tried to implement in a previous version for larger icons, and never worked out. For some reason it still pulls up. But that is your introduction to RealTick. They should be fixing this in the next launch. And you guys have questions about using this thing at all? Oh, look at that. That Grubhub trade would have been a nice one. Shoot. All right. So just two basic screens, right, for RealTick there. Order entry.
Well, that's a great intro.
Yeah, I think I think it'll get you guys sort of up and running quick. And once you get used to using those favorites and stuff, Rick, then you know, you can use them for anything that you design. So, you know, if you decide, no, I can't make heads or tails out of these things. I really don't know what's what here. RealTick alarms, ticker. Give me 1 second. So let's say you do a market minder, right? It's going to be the same thing. You can put anything into this list, right? And then it's just the same protocol. You're just going to right click on it, hit setup, and then you can select this default symbol file. You just have to do it. You can do a CSV file from Excel and save it as a text file, and then you can load those into this RealTick PARM directory. That's where you keep your symbol files, and you can do the columns, right? You can put, you know, what you want. The country flag I never use. I don't use direction last anymore. You know, net change and change percent and all that stuff is good to have. Click OK, and then your display options. I usually turn off the highlight updated cells. These are highly liquid stocks, so they're going to be, that gray bar would be bouncing around like crazy. I turn off the alternating row color, and that gives you a much simpler than market minder. So then if you decide you like this, again, add to favorites, and you're good to go. So that's going to be the nuts and bolts of it. So once you guys are up, you can try using those, and then if you don't get it, or if you don't get something, there's going to be something that messes you up or something that confuses you, then then let me know, and then maybe tomorrow or I'm not sure which day we're taking him to Cape Canaveral, but when we're around again, the next thing we'll do is how to set up order entry macros so that you can keystroke in some things, which makes it very, very easy to enter and exit. I would demonstrate a keystroke for you, but then I'm going to wind up in thousands of shares of Grubhub that I probably don't want at this point. So, all right, guys, so I did record this, and I will post it to the site. And if you have questions, you guys know the drill. Just send me a text telling me you had something you wanted to know about, and we'll do it in the next session, next RealTick session.